Hey, hi, how's it going? It's me, Ed Elwick here, and I'm coming back at you with another one of these tech decks. This time, I wanted to take a look at what I consider to be one of the best self-contained engines for fusion summoning, accessible to newer players. I believe the majority of the cards contained in it are super rare or lower. And you can fit it into just about any other fusion deck. That deck happens to be Invoker, Alistair the Invoker. So we'll talk about our deck building decisions. We'll build out a deck together. We'll take a look at some test hands and then we'll take it to rank. Feel free to let me know if you enjoy the way that we're going about putting these videos together. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below, and I'll see if I can continue to make a couple more of these videos that are dedicated towards giving newer players information to be able to work with some of the various summoning mechanics available in the game Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. So that said, just like last time, I've gone ahead and created a empty template, if you will, a nice canvas for us to work out of. So first things first, what is Invocation? Well, the Invoked deck typically revolves around one specific card. And that card is none of these. It's actually this guy, Alistair the Invoker. Alistair the Invoker is a level 4 spellcaster dark monster, 1000 attack and 1800 defense, and it reads quick effect. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, target one fusion monster you control. It gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. It has a secondary effect as well. If this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, you can add one invocation from your deck to your hand. Since this is the core of the deck, we're going to go ahead and play 3 of these, and we'll go ahead and read Invocation as well, the card that goes hand in hand with it. It reads, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion material. If summoning an invoked fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your field and or either player's graveyard as fusion material. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistair the Invoker. Shuffle this card into the deck. If you do, add that monster to your hand. You can only use this effective invocation once per turn. So we'll go ahead and throw 3 of them into the deck as well. And I'll go ahead and explain kind of loosely how this deck works. So there are a series of different invoked fusion monsters that all have a different attribute. So we have one for dark, wind, water, fire, earth, light. All 6 of the main attributes. Sadly, we don't have a divine one, but I guess God cards just kind of have a advantage against us. And the way you make all of these is they are a fusion monster of Alistair the Invoker and one dark monster. So what you can do is you can normal summon an Alistair the Invoker, add invocation to your hand, and then activate invocation to fusion summon one of these monsters. And if there's a dark in the graveyard, if there's a wind in the graveyard, you can banish that from either player's graveyard as the fusion material. And you banish Alistair the Invoker because it banishes materials on field and or graveyard. I believe it does not banish from hand, though. It does not. And then you have your new monster. Alistair's banished. Invocation goes to the graveyard. You can activate invocation to shuffle invocation into the deck and add back the banished Alistair the Invoker. And you can do that every turn. So it's a fusion deck that kind of revolves around having additional attributes of monsters available, which is why Handtraps historically have been pretty good in this deck. For this list, I'm going to go ahead and add in the ones that we're going to be considering, and I'll read each of the invoked monsters because they're all worth considering, but there's a couple particular ones that we're a little more interested in. Starting with Kaliga. Kaliga is a 1000 attack point, 1800 defense point, dark beast fusion monster. It reads, each player can only attempt to activate one monster effect per turn. Each player can only attack with one monster during each battle phase. This is just a floodgate. And don't forget about the Alistair the Invoker hand effect to discard itself to increase the attack and defense of a monster by 1000. So this actually ends up being a very difficult thing to just run over and can choke your opponent out a little bit. It's a floodgate. It's okay. It's not really like the goal that we want to be working towards, but it is worth playing and considering. Invoked Raijin. This is the wind fusion. It reads, once per turn, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. It is just Book of Moon. It is a walking, talking Book of Moon at 2200 attack and 2400 defense, level 5. Historically, this card was actually seen outside of the Invoke strategy because it was also a pretty viable instant fusion target for having a relevant effect and being level 5, which was the max that you could summon off of that card. I'm not considering many winds, and wind is not the most common attribute that you'll see in the game, so we're going to skip over this one for now. But there are a couple of directions we could build the deck that would make this card significantly more useful, I guess you could say. Invoked Cocytus. Duel Links players probably have some kind of history with this card, depending on when you played in Duel Links. For a little while, this was the strongest card in the entire game. In standard TCG, it has always just been okay. This is the Water Fusion. It's level 6. It has 1800 attack, 2900 defense. It reads, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. That alone is what made it the best card in Duel Links for a while. Very difficult to deal with. It also has this other effect. This card can attack while in face-up defense position, and if it does, apply its attack for damage calculation. Just a really annoying guy. With 2900 defense, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, and can't target it with card effects, there are very limited ways to out this card other than running it over. But with the Alistair in-hand effect, it could easily get up to like 3900 defense. So you need something massively large to be able to walk over it. That said, it is probably one of the weaker invoked monsters in the game, so we are not going to be considering it, but it is worthwhile to know it's there. It's an option in your deck building decisions. It's not bad if you want to play more of a pure invoked strategy. Invoked Purgatrio is a card that I personally like. It allows for OTKs in some way, shape, or form. This is the fire attribute invoked monster. It's 2300 attack and 2000 defense. And it reads, this card gains 200 attack for each card your opponent controls. It can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Very, very strong card. Can do quite a bit. I personally like it, so I am going to be playing it. It is also fire attribute, and just about every deck that I will play, at least for these beginning videos, is going to contain the card Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So we have a card in our own deck to banish for it. So we'll go ahead and throw one in the deck. This is, in my opinion, the absolute worst invoked monster, Invoked Magellanica. It is just a 3000 attack, 3300 defense vanilla. It's kind of sad. Like, I feel like this card could have been really, really strong if they gave it like anything. Like any basic effect, and this card would have been truly a powerhouse, but for some reason it just never got one. We're not going to consider it, even though it is Earth, and Earth is a pretty good attribute. This is the newest of the invoked monsters, Invoked Agoides. This one actually requires a fusion monster as well, instead of an attribute. And it reads, if this card is special summon or monster special summon to your opponent's field, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Invoked Agoides once per turn. Once per turn, you can banish one fusion monster from your graveyard, and this card gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of your opponent's turn. Very good card. If they deal with one of our invoked monsters, we, at that point, probably have the material to be able to make this on the crackback. It's a good card. We'll play one. And then this is the bread and butter of the deck, Invoked Mekk. This card is the light attribute invoked fusion monster. It has 2500 attack, 2100 defense. It reads, once per turn, when a spell, trap card, or monster effect is activated, You can send the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation. If you do, banish that card. So this is an ultimate Providence on legs. It is an incredibly powerful card, and it's pretty hard to get over as well because, again, Alistair can discard himself to boost it by 1,000 attack. We are going to be playing 2 of these. It also helps that light is one of the most common attributes in the entire game, so pretty strong. There's also this Link monster contained in the deck, which is Alistair the Invoker of Madness. You can make this with any 2 monsters, different types and different attributes. Its name becomes Alistair the Invoker while on the field or in graveyard, and if a monster is fusion summoned while you control this monster, discard a card. If you do, add 1 Invocation or Book of the Law from your deck to your hand. If this face-up card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, add an Omega Summon from your deck to your hand. We're not going to be playing Omega Summon. The important part of this is it does allow you to get another copy of an Invocation from your deck to your hand. Thinning is winning, but the real reason we're even playing it is just because its name becomes Alistair the Invoker. It's also a pretty low rarity card, so you can get it pretty quickly. And the last card of the invoked lineup that we are going to be playing is Magical Meltdown. This card reads, when this card is activated, you can add 1 Alistair the Invoker from your deck to your hand. The activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is fusion summoned this way. You can only activate 1 Magical Meltdown per turn. So this card functionally acts as a reinforcement of the army for the deck. It allows you to immediately get to Alistair, who immediately allows you to get to Invocation, which immediately allows you to go for a fusion summon. It's a very good self-contained engine, and for that reason we're going to go ahead and play 3 of these. And funny enough, that's the core of the Alistair the Invoker engine of the deck. For that reason, 9 cards in the main deck doesn't really make up a full deck, even if we incorporate just a ton of hand traps. So this deck has seen a lot of play alongside other strategies accessible in the game, one such of them being Shaddoll. Another one, some people have experimented with it in Branded. It's seen play with Kaijus. It's seen play with, I think there was some people experimenting with it in Dino at one point. But historically the best deck to combine it with was Shaddoll. That said, Shaddoll is an extremely expensive deck from a gem standpoint. It requires a ton of ultra rares. And for that reason, I didn't really want to use that as the secondary strategy that we're going to contain in this deck. So the other strategy that we're going to instead contain in this deck is one of my favorite strategies of all time. It's Mekk-Knight. For those of you that don't know what Mekk-Knight is, Mekk-Knight is a deck that is contained in the World Legacy lore, and it centers around these psychic monsters that special summon themselves if 2 or more cards are in the same column. They also have interesting effects based off if something is in the column with them. Blue Sky, for example, adds Mekk-Knight monsters with different names. This one can pop a spell trap, this one can pop a monster. But we'll go through them one by one as we are considering them and talk about them. So for starters, we're going to start with the best Mekk-Knight, and that is Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall. Limited players rejoice. This card is a nightmare to deal with in limited formats. It reads the same Mekk-Knight summoning condition that every Mekk-Knight has. If 2 or more cards are in the same column, you can special summon this card from your hand in that column. You can only special summon Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall once per turn this way. Hook effect. You can target 1 Mekk-Knight monster you control, banish it until the standby phase of your next turn. If you do, add 1 Mekk-Knight monster from your deck to your hand except Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall. You can only use this effect of Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall once per turn. So this card effectively continues to accrue advantage for you if it is ever threatened with, I don't know, some kind of targeted destruction. It can target itself and banish itself to gain you advantage and then come back later. In a lot of ways, it's very reminiscent of cards like DPE, even though DPE came much later. It's just a looming threat that consistently gains you advantage. It's a light effect monster. All of the Mekk-Knights are lights, which couples well with the invoked monster that we want to summon, being Mekaba. So we'll go ahead and play 3 of this. The next best Mekk-Knight in the game is Mekk-Knight Blue Sky. has the same summoning condition. If this one is normal summoned or special summoned from your hand, you can add Mekk-Knight monsters with different names, except Mekk-Knight Blue Sky from your deck to your hand equal to the number of opponent's cards in this card's column. So say they have a set back row and a monster in the column you summon it to. You can add 2 Mekk-Knight cards from your deck to your hand, which is huge. It's an incredible advantage. It's something that a lot of people don't play around. For that reason, column placement is very important in this deck. It's something that you will have to get used to. It will teach you to play around things like infinite impermanence and help you gain advantage. It's a very good card. Free body, level 5, 2,000, 2,500. Always great. We'll play 2 with this guy. And then we have some other Mekk-Knights that we want to consider. This one is probably the next best one, Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse. He's also colloquially known as the Move Man. He has the effect of once per turn, quick effect, you can target a Mekk-Knight monster you control. Move that target to another of your main monster zones. He just moves, and he moves things, and he's big. Very good card. Pretty big fan of this guy. We'll play 2 of him for now. This effect actually is important for other reasons that we'll get into shortly. Next up, we're going to play some one of Mekk-Knights. We'll play Mekk-Knight Yellow Star. This card reads, you can banish 1 Mekk-Knight monster from your graveyard, target a spell trap in the column that this card is in, and destroy it. It doesn't come up a bunch, but it is pretty strong. So we'll play 1 for now. And then we are also going to play Red Moon, which does the same thing that Yellow Sky does, except instead of targeting a spell trap, it targets a face-up monster in the column and destroys it. So quite a powerful card as well, pretty big. And for that, that's going to be our core Mekk-Knight lineup. That said, there are a couple of spells and traps that we want to consider with this deck, specifically with the Mekk-Knight half of it. One of those is this card, World Legacy's Memory. It's a quick play spell card that reads, special summon 1 Mekk-Knight monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except Mekk-Knight monsters. You can only activate 1 World Legacy's Memory per turn. This is a very good card, specifically for your opponent's turn. It allows you to get out a Purple Nightfall and then banish the Purple Nightfall to get another Mekk-Knight in rotation. It also acts as a starter, though we don't really want to use it that way. We only are going to end up using it as a starter in the event that we don't draw into our invocation engine. So for now, we're only going to play 2 of these. It's good, but it's not crazy good. It's better in limited. And then we're also going to play this card, which is probably the strongest card in the deck. It reads, when this card is activated, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster in your graveyard, special summon it. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. Negate any opponent's monster's effect that activates in the same column as Mekk-Knight monsters you control. This is a continuous trap. World Legacy Secret is very, very strong, especially coupled with Mekk-Knight Move Man, because Indigo Eclipse can just move to the column that your opponent is trying to activate a monster effect in and just immediately negate it. Very frustrating card to deal with. I would even consider maybe playing 2. It's very strong, but it is searchable off of this card, so we're only going to play 1 of them. And we're going to go ahead and talk about this card as well. Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star. This is a Link 2 monster. It requires 2 monsters, including a Mekk-Knight monster. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 Mekk-Knight monster or 1 World Legacy card. Add 1 World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star once per turn. If your Mekk-Knight monster battles a monster in a different column than it, your monster cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage from that battle. This card is very strong when people don't play around it. It effectively reads you can't die, especially coupled with like a move man, because you can just move whatever they're attacking you with. You can move the monster to a different column so that the second effect activates. It also searches for World Legacy cards by discarding Mekk-Knight or World Legacy card, and there's a couple of those that we're going to play. But you can discard World Legacy Memory, any of the Mekk-Knights. I wouldn't discard Secret, but you can search Secret off of it. We're also, so this is where I'm going to quickly talk about some differing deck builds that you can go into. You can build more of a hand trap focused control deck. You can play more fusion focused decks with the Predaplants or Shaddolls or Branded or what have you. Mekk-Knights tend to be pretty good at going second. And this is really kind of where I would say, you know, if you're a newer player, this particular card, Girsu, the Orcust Mekk-Knight, is an incredible card. It's very, very strong, and I am going to be playing 3 of it, but it comes at ultra rare. And there are other cards that, if you're like a brand new account, fresh account, I would probably encourage you to look into before going down this line. This card is great because it does open doors for not only Mekk-Knight and Invoked, but it opens doors for the Orcust deck as well, which is very, very strong. One of my favorite decks of all time. But it's expensive, and if you don't have a full set of hand traps, those are probably going to see a lot more play than this card will. I'm going to play it because it allows for a going second strategy that is very, very strong for us specifically. So we're going to play 3 of this for now. And I'll go over what it does. Girsu, the Orcust Mekk-Knight, is a level 4, 1400 attack dark machine monster. It reads, if this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 Orcust or World Legacy card from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if there are 2 or more cards in this card's column, treat this card as a tuner this turn. Doesn't matter, the important part is that it sends any Orcust or World Legacy card from your deck to your graveyard. It also has the secondary effect. If you control no other monsters, you can special summon 1 World Legacy token, Machine Dark level 1/0/0, to both players' fields in defense position. You can only use each effect of Girsu, the Orcust Mekk-Knight, once per turn. That is a crazy effect. Not only does it give you additional cards in your opponent's columns to set up your Mekk-Knights with, because you get to choose where tokens are placed, but it gives you 2 free monsters to immediately go into one of your link plays, which we'll go into here in a second. But for now, we're going to play 3 of this, and we're going to go through and talk about some of the cards that we also want to play in association with this. One of the main ones is this card. This card reads a bunch of things that don't matter. What matters is this last dot. It reads, during your main phase, except the turn this card that was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. It allows you to get a memory, a secret, or also a World Legacy Succession, which we're also going to play 1 copy of, which reads, target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone, only monster points 2. You can only activate 1 World Legacy Succession per turn. It's basically Monster Reborn, but it's searchable. So we will be playing this, and this will be the primary send for Girsu. In addition to Girsu, we're going to play a very small Orcust engine that does nothing. We're going to play 1 copy of Galatea. Galatea is a great card. You can make it with 2 effect monsters, including the Orcust monster, so Girsu plus the token. This link card cannot be destroyed by battle. You can target 1 monster, or you can target 1 of your banished machine monsters, shuffle into the deck, then you can set 1 Orcust spell trap directly from your deck. You can only use this effect of Galatea once per turn. We are never going to activate this effect. The reason we're playing Galatea is so that we can immediately exceed into this card, Ding Girsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star. This is a rank 8 Xyz monster that normally requires 2 level 8 monsters. You can only special summon Ding Girsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star, once per turn. You can also Xyz summon this card by using an Orcust link monster you control as material, so you can immediately just slap it on top of Galatea. And then it has these following effects, all of which are crazy. If a card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can attach 1 material from this card instead. And then, if this card is special summoned, you can activate 1 of these effects. Send 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard, non-targeting, or attach 1 of your banished machine monsters to this card as material. This is a very, very strong going second play. If your opponent has an established board, you can normal Girsu, make Galatea, make Ding Girsu, deal with something, attack over something else with Girsu. And then that allows you to immediately go into a Zeus play, which we talked a lot about Zeus last time when I did the Zodiac tech deck. This card effectively allows you to clear an entire board. It reads, once per turn of an Xyz monster battled this turn, you can also Xyz summon Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder by using 1 Xyz monster you control as material. Transfer its materials to this card. Quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, send all other cards from the field to the graveyard. Once per turn, if another card you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can attach 1 card from your hand, deck, or extra deck to this card as material. Insane. Absolutely crazy. And it gives us a really good going second play, which not a lot of the decks that I have played so far have the capacity to go second. Most of them want to go first. So just having this as a tool is great. That said, if you don't want to commit to the Girsu, there are other things you can consider. You could consider playing some kaijus. You could consider playing maybe more hand traps. And that would free up these 3 slots to probably replace with something like nightmares, more invoked monsters, etc., etc. Feel free to mess around with this deck yourself, figure out the ratios that you like. This should in no way, shape, or form be this is how you objectively have to play this deck every time. It's not the goal of the series. The goal of the series is to show kind of my thought process as I'm building a deck and incentivize you to start thinking about these things and figuring out what you think is strong. So that said, we will be playing these for now. The only other cards that I think we're missing from the archetypes themselves are in the extra deck, and we'll go over those a little bit later. Now this looks more like a fleshed out main deck, and we have 14 slots remaining, which means we need to fill that out with cards that interact with our opponent on their turn. And so what is that? You should know the answer by now. That is typically hand traps. So that said, we'll play 3 copies of Maxi, the most ubiquitous hand trap in the game currently. It reads, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard this turn. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw a card. This can be a turn ender for a lot of people. Most decks tend to summon between 4 to 5 or more monsters a turn. So a lot of the time if someone drops a Maxi against them, your opponent will just pass the turn. So we'll go ahead and play 3 of that, and then we're going to play the cards that beat this because we don't want it activated against us. That would be cards like Ash Blossom and the Joy of Spring. Again, fire, which is important for our invoked engine to be able to create Purgatrio. It reads, when a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, you can discard this card, negate that effect, add a card from the deck to the hand, special summon from the deck, or send a card from the deck to the graveyard. If your opponent attempts to do any of those things, you can discard this card and prevent that from happening. The last super ubiquitous card that we tend to play in a lot of these videos is Infinite Impermanence. It reads, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. Then, if this card was set before activation and is on the field at resolution for the rest of the turn, for the rest of this turn, all other spell trap effects in this column are negated. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. It effectively is a targeted negate for a monster effect. If you're going second, you can activate on your opponent's turn going first. If you set it, it sometimes can negate multiple cards. So, quite a powerful card. Highly recommend getting 3 copies of all of these cards as soon as you can. There is a bundle for these 2 that gives you 1 guaranteed copy, but these are immediate priority. The last card that we're going to play that beats specifically Maxi and also beats Ash Blossom is Called by the Grave. It reads, target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. If you do, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. Again, the main reason we're playing this card is we want at minimum 5 cards that beat Maxi. This deck doesn't have to summon too many. Normally we can give them like 1 draw under Maxi, but we still don't really want that if we can afford it, if we can avoid it. So for now we're going to play 2 copies of Called by the Grave. And that leaves us 3 slots. There are a couple of things we can play. Since we're playing Maxi, I really like playing 1 copy of Nibiru, the Primal Being. I think it's quite strong. And then you could play Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is honestly probably the better choice of what you could play. For me personally though, I kind of want to play Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit because it is a light level 3 tuner. It reads, when a monster on the field activates effect, or when a spell trap that is already face up on the field activates its effect. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, destroy that card on the field. It's just a quick destruction which comes up pretty nicely, but the main reason I'm playing this is because it is a tuner, and there is a card that I want to consider pretty heavily in the extra deck, which I guess we can transition into now. So one of the benefits of Blue Sky and Purple Nightfall is that they are both level 8s. So if you have an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, or a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which are both tuners, you can normal summon them and then immediately go into a level 11 synchro. And there is one crazy level 11 synchro known as Psychic End Punisher that objectively can win games on its own. It reads, while your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, this synchro summoned card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points to target one monster you control, and one card your opponent controls, banish them. At the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference in your life points and your opponent's. It's a really hard card to deal with. If you're down in life and you're able to make this card, you can just win the game outright because of it. The only real true out to this card would be something like a kaiju or something that forces you to get rid of it. So I think having the ogre to be 2 more copies of a tuner, just to make this is pretty worthwhile. It is a powerful card that we should be considering. One other card that I think we should probably consider that is, I guess, pseudo-related to the Mekk Knights is this card, Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. It requires 2 monsters that are special summoned from the extra deck. And it reads, while this link summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, their monsters cannot target monsters for attacks except this one. That's a really good protection effect for all of your other monsters on the field, because it also has this additional effect. Once per turn during damage calculation, if this battle is a special summon monster, quick effect, you make this card gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack during that damage calculation only. And then if this link summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can shuffle 1 random card on the field into the deck. This card is just a powerhouse. He's pretty hard to make, so we're not going to go into him too often, but when you make him, he can be really difficult to out and can win games for you on his own. So we'll play one of him, and that's probably the last major boss monster that we're going to incorporate into the deck. The last 3 cards we're going to incorporate for the extra deck are just consistency cards to make it a little easier for us to get some of our plays going. One such card is actually a World Legacy link, this one, Live the World Key Blade Master. It reads, you can only link summon. This card requires 2 monsters. It's a link 2, and it can only be link summoned while you have a World Legacy card in your graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects of Live the World Key Blade Master once per turn. During your battle phase, you can set 1 World Legacy spell trap from your deck, but it cannot be activated this turn while you have no World Legacy monster in your graveyard. If this link summon card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck, non-targeting. Just a very, very powerful card. It allows you to get some of the World Legacy cards like Memory or Secret or Succession from the deck and set them to the field, and then can link something away. And then it being a link to, and Mekk-Knight Morningstar being a link to, allows you to potentially make a Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. So quite a powerful card. We'll play 1. And then the last card that we want is a card that makes normal summoning Alistair the Invoker live, like without having to commit a hand trap to it. So we're actually going to play 2 link monsters for that. The first one is Salamangreat Almirage. It reads, 1 normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack. Thankfully, Alistair has exactly 1,000 attack, so we can immediately normal summon Alistair, search Invocation, and then link it off with Almirage. The effect of this card is kind of irrelevant. It reads, you contribute this card, target 1 monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. When normal summon monster you control is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. That doesn't matter. What matters is that it is a Cybers Link 1 that is fire attribute that we can make using Alistair the Invoker. So we're going to play 1 copy of that. And to couple with that, we are going to play 1 copy of, if I can find it, this guy, Secure Gardener. Secure Gardener is a light Cybers Link 1 that you can make with 1 Cybers Link monster. So you can immediately make this with Almirage. As this effect, after this card is special summoned, you take no effect damage for the rest of this turn. Once per turn, if you take battle or effect damage, you take no damage. Cannot be used as link material. You can only control one secure Arna. The main reason we're playing this is so that it's a light. This allows us to make a Mecha Bow off of an Alistair alone. So for that reason, we'll play that. And I think with that, that kind of wraps up the main deck that I want us to be looking at for this game. Again, there are other decks that are probably a lot better for Alistair to be contained in. Decks like Predaplant and Shaddoll come to mind first and foremost. I'm sure there are some branded builds out there that would play an Alistair engine, and I'm positive that there are many other decks that I'm not even thinking or mentioning of right now. This was just the one that I thought would be interesting because this deck plays pretty good. Going second plays very differently than any of the other decks that I've made for this series so far. And so, yeah, this is what we're gonna work with today. So we'll take a look at some test hands. This is, funny enough, full combo. And if they have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, this hand does nothing. It's not entirely true. You can normal the Maxi, make Solomon Great, All Mirage, activate Succession, special summon back the Maxi. And then that's two monsters that you can, I guess, use to make Invoker of Madness if you want. Or Lib. Lib sets a World Legacy spell trap directly from deck instead of Memory. And then if they deal with this, well, that doesn't really do much, but that's something, you know. Try another. This is more in line of what I was kind of like expecting. This is a hand that's really, really good if you're going second, and not great if you're going first. This is another one of those hands that's okay if you're going second, not great going first, but we could probably make it work. This is an amazing hand. Girsu is just a great normal summon. That's part of why I like having him. It gives us 6 normal summons that do something on their own. Meltdown is Alistair. Invocation, this one's a little awkward. Would require us to go second. This one would also require us to go second. This one's great. So yeah, we'll jump into the games now. And that said, I don't really know if this deck is going to perform too well. We are in Diamonds, so I am expecting to see a lot of Snake Eye type stuff. But we'll try to make the most out of what we can with this. I don't really mind losing die roll too much with this deck. It's one of the things I like about this deck. Because we have a lot of cards that do a lot going second. I should have toggled on. We'll go ahead and Maxi. I think we save this for the Vada. We're really looking for Alistair the Invoker right now. Oh, that's good. No. Oh, that doesn't matter at all. We have 2 ashes. But it will give him the knowledge to not play around. That was the worst one. I don't know why you would do that, but... Nope. There's no reason for us to toggle off now. He knows that we have Ash. Vada is the one that we want to Ash. Really? I didn't expect that. Okay. We're going to do some interesting Mekk-Knight plays. Should have played around Mekk-Knights. I don't know what to tell you, man. We got Move Man here. Discard the Move Man. I'll actually grab Secret here. I think Secret is the better pick. And then we'll get rid of this. Going to... Oh, does he have evenly? One, two. No. That's fine. It's not fine, but it's like, it's one draw versus I can guarantee a couple draws on his turn. And this is the point where I don't think he's... I feel like he's probably not red. But we'll see. Because currently this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and I can't take damage from battles involving it. And I can go ahead and maxi him. Ooh. Going for the Move Man. I didn't expect the Bestials. So he has a Druid Swarm in hand, and a Vata, and an Unknown. Full armor is annoying. I can Ash that. Okay. I think we're in a good spot. Getting Meltdown was huge, Called By is huge. He doesn't know. He didn't read. He didn't read. He didn't read. I'm so annoying. What the heck? Well, guess what? That's all Mekk-Knights, bro. That's all Mekk-Knights. We can attack over this with Alistair. So that's probably going to be the play, but we'll see. Oh, am I going to get back my... I am going to get back my Purple Nightfall. Return to me. What does he have in grave? We'll start with this. And now we have our Invoker. I gotta think a little bit how I want to go about this. Whoa. Oh, it's because I have 2/8. So we can normal him. Thing is, I don't really want to make this. Well, I guess we. I guess we can, right? That's fine. That doesn't matter in the slightest. Oh, we're gonna do some really cool stuff here. Let's get you. God, this deck is so fun. Every time I play it, I'm just like, I don't know. There's so much you can do. And it's always more than you think. We'll give this as a follow-up normal. I do not care. The only card that punishes us in this position is if he has Nibiru, but I don't think he does. It's huge. It's huge. Wait a minute. So that's 2 monsters? Oh, I can't make it without a World Legacy monster. That makes me kind of like not want to commit to this. I mean, the thing is it might just be too good not to do, though. Because it does, like, immediately deal with that. Yeah, I hate doing this, but I actually think I do need to Avermax here. Just to deal with full armor. And we can go ahead and make a Mekaba as well. Using you and you. I mean, that's pretty good, you know? One monster kind of card. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. It's just one less thing to worry about. We can call by. This is probably going to make him scoop, but yeah, we had every answer. God, this game was crazy. So that's a no. That's a no. And then we get back a monster negate, and then we have all of these. Now we can go battle phase, this card. Should clear this. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. That was an incredible game to kind of show the power of like this deck. Because we didn't have like a great hand and we didn't go first. I mean, that was kind of determined a little bit by the maxi. I won't lie, but that was great. See if we can get another win with this. My goal is kind of to go 2 and 3. But God, it was so fun. Uh-oh. We're gonna connect. I wonder if we'll ever get to go first. It's kind of fine because we don't really care. Like, we kind of want to go second, but this is a good hand. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this in draw phase, by the way, it's just because I don't like activating or setting up the triple tactics talent for him to draw 2. Wow, so this is either branded or genuinely Fluffle. Which Fluffle is one of my favorite decks of all time. It's actually the deck I was considering making this video off of, simply because I thought Fluffle is a very cheap fusion deck in this game, but yeah, no, this isn't Fluffle. This is branded 100%. The 60 card is. Really? That's fun. That's less fun. I kind of need this to resolve if I want to do anything, so don't hash me, please. That's fine. I don't care about that. Do I care about that? I might care about that. Ooh. Mask. I hate Mask, but I gotta deal with it. I need to read this one. Okay, I think we got this. I'm taking a lot of damage on this. Oh my god, stop, please. Do I have anything in his I can get rid of? I guess we'll summon under him because we can use secret to 15, 25. That's OTK. That's exact lethal. That is not exact lethal. I was off. This turn. Okay, so it can be activated next turn. Go ahead and get this out of here. Give this as follow-up. Oh, thank God. I was so nervous. Okay, so we have World Legacy Secret and a Move Man Engrave, which is nice. We have a Monster Negate. Okay, that is scary, but that's fine. I'll allow it. Oh God. This column is danger for him right now. Move Man will make any of these columns danger. Yep. I wonder if there was something I could have done. This, by the way, is like one of those matches where it's like I should not be even remotely in this. We will World Legacy Secret here. And we'll grab Move Man. I'm actually going to get rid of this because the Alistair is better. And Nib could end up coming up, but we'll see. No. This card is crazy. The Fallen of Albaz is scary because it could get Mirror Jade. Oh, it didn't get Mirror Jade. Why would you do that? Okay. So these two columns are bad, which means this is all safe. That's problematic. Pop 2. That would have died anyway. This Nib's about to go crazy. Really? Pill? Tribute everything away. Now the question becomes, how do I deal with this? And the answer is, I have no idea. I guess if I draw an Ash, that does it. Oh god, that's bad. Oh no, I have it. It's a Goides. A Goides deals with it like immediately. Let's read this. Let's return if you take battle or effect you take. Okay. Just to protect myself a little bit, we will make that. Oh, he has some fusions too. I could just banish his Chimera. I'll do that. It's worth it. Target one monster your opponent, destroy it. Yep. 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 Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Wow, this was a crazy game too. That just kind of shows the grind power of Alistair the Invoker. Whoa, I can't believe we won this. Alright, I guess we'll queue it up for one more. But that was one of the best games I've had in a really, really long time. Both these games are crazy. Let's see if we can get one more win. Can we go for the 3-peat? Man, that was nuts. We've gone last every single game so far. This is like a picture-perfect hand. The only thing I wish we had was a Ash Blossom. Really? Nibiru beats the crap out of this deck. I'm gonna hold the Ogre. Nibiru really beats this deck up. Two unknowns. Oh, Ogre actually kind of chokes him out too. Yeah, Ogre's crazy. Oof. Feels bad. That's 4. 5. But that's 4. If he makes plasma, we just nib, and I think that ends the game. Oof. Sorry, man. It was a rough one. Oh my god. Dart. We gotta make you. Special you. Move you. Make you. Using you. Hit you. Activate succession on you. Get you. This is crazy. Oh, does he have nib? Do you have a nib? Lib. I'm completely okay with him nibbing this, by the way. Yep. We'll maxi here. Purple Nightfall. I'm gonna use this to make this. I'll wait for freeze that back up. We can go ahead and do this. I'm gonna activate this here and get Red Moon out. And we're gonna go ahead and use Red Moon. And I'm actually not gonna attack, we're just gonna pass. Yeah. And now we have an Omni for whatever this is. Well, not an Omni, but we have a monster effect, Banish Negate, which is huge. Let's go. Activate this guy. Special summon from deck. Purple Nightfall. Purple Nightfall activate. Managing yourself. I'll grab a Mekk-Knight. God, this is crazy. Oh, that's a good card too. You can come back here. I'm gonna go ahead and get our secret from deck. Should just spell the end of the game. Girsu. Send. Gotcha. We'll go and activate this too. How many fusions in grave? I don't think so. There's a fire in grave. What's the fire? Oh, it's that. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and make that. And I have, yeah. We have well over lethal here, but nothing wrong with being safe. We will absolutely be negating this. No, he's not even gonna do it. He knows it's over. I'll be 3 games and 3 dubs. We even got a rank up out of that. Look at that. Let's go. And I'll quickly go over the list one last time. So as I talked about, Invoked is an incredibly strong 1-card engine for enabling a lot of very powerful fusion monsters. There's a lot of directions you can take this deck in terms of like deck building. You can play more of this kind of grindy reactive go second list that I was playing. You could play more of a go first setup combo type style list. If you're doing that, it's probably going to look more like a Shadal branded list. Irregardless, deck has a lot of things going for it. I like this variant because it has a lot of room for non-engine, and I think the Mekk-Knights themselves are independently powerful cards that are, for the most part, pretty accessible at low rarity. You can use them in a lot of the festivals and events that they normally do. And they have a lot of really cool lore surrounding them too. This is one of my favorite decks in the entire game to play. I highly, highly recommend at least giving it a shot sometime. It plays on a completely different axis than most of the decks that you'll see on this channel. A lot of what I tend to play is more of like a mid-range control, and this is more of a blind second kind of combo list. It's very fun. I like it a lot. All the monsters are cool. It, in my opinion, represents one of the things that's truly great about Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's that with enough creativity and ingenuity, you can normally build something very cool and powerful. I mean, we were standing up against decks right there that honestly we shouldn't have had much game against. Granted, we did open Maxi in all of those games, but even still, we were able to go toe-to-toe with Hero, Branded, some of the more prevalent decks that you end up seeing kind of in the metagame. So highly recommend this list. Highly recommend at least looking at the cards. And if you do get into this kind of strategy, please understand you don't need Girsu. You don't need Girsu. You don't need Zeus. I would recommend getting Zeus because Zeus is just a crazy card. But you don't need this engine. You can build it in other ways. For the most part, these cards are pretty cheap. The only one that's not is this card, and most Invoked decks don't even play it. So give it a shot sometime, see if you like it. I have plans in terms of like tech deck and the direction of this channel. I'm gonna make 2 more tech decks focused on cheaper, more accessible decks that focus on the different summoning mechanics, since this series in its conceit was originally designed specifically to be kind of like a helpful, not guide, but maybe roadmap in terms of how someone with very limited Yu-Gi-Oh experience can learn how to play some of these decks and learn the art of deck building, learn why cards are good, more so than just looking up a deck, saying, oh, this looks good, let's go. I wanted this to be more of a conversational type series. So that said, there will be 2 more. There's going to be one on the pendulum mechanic as a whole. That will probably be the latter one, and the next one will probably be more focused on the link summoning mechanic. I feel like Zodiac did a good job focusing on X-Seeds. I feel like Sword Soul did a good job focusing on Synchros. I feel like this did a good job focusing on Fusion. So I will do 2 more of these, and then once we're done with kind of like the basic summoning mechanics, I'll probably pivot into doing either user recommended decks, building them out, going about how I would approach it, going about the strategy, or just doing some of the strategies that I already know and love and going through it that way. Let me know if you're enjoying this kind of content. You know, there's not a lot of super long form content out there for Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of in this style, at least not much that I've seen. I would love comments and recommendations. And in the meantime, I think we'll wrap it up with that. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'll catch you next time. And, you know, yeah, blarg.